Bump Love is brought to you by
Dial *185 hash option 6 and you could be our lucky winner.
Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless.
Hello and welcome back to Bump Love. It's another Friday, a Friday, and a great opportunity to have great conversations, new conversations, deep conversations. Thank you so much for liking, commenting, subscribing. We are seeing all of guys. Bless you, bless you, bless you. And I think for me, more importantly, thank you for welcoming Beverley, who's right here, and Barbara. Nowadays you are understanding, my friends, very well. You're just like, wow, wisdom, wisdom, wisdom. And I love it for you because I think they are such a well of wisdom, especially for this season of Bump Love. Now that we've said that, we have somebody else on the show today, Dr. Evas Atwiine. She's a clinical psychologist and mental health professional with a total of over 15 years experience in the mental health and psychosocial support services. She's the Chief Executive Director and founder of the International Center for Mental Health and Family Care, which is a Christian organization. So that's the thing I love about her. Not only is it clinical, but it's also spiritual, which I think we need someone. You know, there are times when the books end and only God is the one after. So she's such an amazing resource. But not only that, she is actually a fellow YouTuber and content creator of the show Reality Check. Now, those of you who remember Rachel Mwine, she is actually a co-host on the show Reality Check. Now, now's a good time to pause. Head on over to Reality Check. Subscribe, then come back, finish the show, then go and watch the latest show, okay? Because we don't want you to miss out on any amount of wisdom that is shared on that show. Welcome to the show, Dr.
Thank you so much.
I know how busy you are, and so we're so grateful that you could make it.
This is part of the business.
It is, right? It is. So today on the show, we're going to discuss, I know you've probably heard it before. I don't want you to roll your eyes. Just before you roll your eyes, mental health for women. And no, we're not just talking the mental health you've heard on social media before. We're talking behind the scenes of mental health. So welcome again to the show, ladies.
Thank you so much.
How was your week?
Blessed. You know, one of the things that we must teach ourselves to do is Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Each and every day. And I like that in the planner for APPG, those who attended and those who are planning to attend, one of the things you do in the morning before you step out is what are you thankful for? And it doesn't matter how small. You know, you can even write thankful for the sun. Today I'm grateful that the sun is out. And something about you changes. Yes. So this has been one of the weeks that I've been grateful for little things. Go to school, see the children, you're like, God, this is how far you've brought us. Move, progress, you know, you get a notification from those pregnancy apps and says you've now moved to week so and so, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't think I'd get here. So it's been one of those things that every day I am thankful for something. Yes. Support system. This morning I was thinking, one of the most important things in pregnancy is support system. Yes. Definitely. You never know how much you need support until you get to that time. As women, we all think we're strong.
Right.
Yes. But pregnancy, somehow you feel vulnerable. But the people around you, even if I have 2 friends, male friends, who call every morning, how are you? Are you okay? Do you know that small gesture? Yeah. So I'm really grateful.
Have you had male friends calling her? So I'll be calling Mr. Ichumar. So
when she calls me, she's quarreling. You said you're going to send the poster. Where is it? These 2 gentlemen call and say, hi, how are you? Is everything okay this morning? Yes. Bye. That's all.
So you're giving me feedback?
Yeah.
As a friend?
Yeah, as a friend. When I see Manuela's call, I'm like, what haven't I done?
Oh, wow.
That's great.
Yeah. Doctor, how's your week?
Well, the week is good. New beginnings.
Oh,
October?
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a fan of new beginnings because I love scripture that speaks about His mercies are new every day. Yeah, I don't live off leftover.
Hey!
Wow.
My God, that's something to learn.
Yeah, so this week is special because it's the beginning of a new month and I'm ready for new beginnings.
Ooh, I
New
love
energy.
it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Mine. I received a special gift, which I'm going to share. In October 2024, I presented somewhere in Toastmasters. I did such a phenomenal job that the sales director of Bella Zuri gave me a gift. I don't know if she's aware I don't really apply makeup. However, because I appreciate the gesture, I am going to learn how to use foundation and concealer and expensive lipstick.
Okay.
So that was the week.
That was the week.
October
That crowned the
2024,
week.
this is what happened.
This week we had, so the problem with Uganda is that sometimes you can sign a deal with someone and you wait months and months and months until they start dodging your call, until they, like, you know those things?
Like, I've never understood why someone doesn't say, I'm sorry, Barbara,
The
it has
deal fell
fallen through.
through.
Or I'm
Exactly.
sorry, Barbara, we're not going to use your services
Exactly.
as we had hoped.
Exactly.
They just
Ghost
you. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's awkwardness. And if you just said it, I'm sorry, it fell through, we continue life.
Yes.
Anyway, I got one of those deals where I was just like, this looks like one of those deals which it's going to fall through and then they're not going to say anything.
It was too good to be true.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then they said, then we signed the contract. I'm just like, oh, please give me some more Ugandans like this. So for me, that was my week. I felt like I had a newfound love for Ugandans. I feel like we are becoming more, just because of that one deal. I felt more positive. I felt like, well, maybe Ugandans were really
not too
getting
bad.
better. Yeah,
Yes.
it's not too bad. This is not a person who's asking me for a kickback. It was just a genuine contract, because everybody that I told the story was just like, have you done some?
Don't get too excited.
Because
First
if you
wait.
haven't, auntie, you're mulokole. If you haven't, it might not work. So I was just so happy that the deal came through and it had no strings attached. Now, talking about strings, our mental health has a lot of, it determines who we are every day in our physical lives. And as women, I feel that we struggle with our mental health, and many times we don't even know. Postpartum, you're struggling to get a man to love you. Then he has loved you, he's not married you on time. Before you know it, your mental health is being more affected than you actually can imagine. Then you've given birth, then the child is not talking as fast as you'd want them to talk. Then your finances, so there's so much that has the ability to affect our mental health. Dr. Evas, what are some of the common mental health challenges that women specifically go through? And how do they differ from our moms? Because I feel like our moms never ever talked about mental health. They never
Depression.
They never looked at. In fact,
Postnatal depression.
they're like, what?
Anxiety.
Anxiety. I'm getting palpitations. I have an anxiety attack, panic attack. They never seem to have those things. So, what are the challenges we're getting, and how are they compared to our moms?
Okay, thank you.
I like that. Okay.
You know, I don't know, there's this feeling that the world is getting more and more difficult as we progress. We love development, but we think people before were living better, but we'll talk about that. Okay. Let me begin here. First of all, mental health. This is something that is confused for mental illness, and it isn't. So I thought I would begin there and make it clear to viewers that mental health is actually mental wellness. Okay? It's our ability to manage stress. Ability to do what?
Manage stress.
Manage stress, good students. So, so life is stressful.
Okay.
Okay, so and I want to make it, because sometimes we think, oh, maybe people who have lived before have enjoyed life, now us we are doomed. That's not true.
Okay.
All of life is stressful. I have a mom, 90 years this year.
Oh, wow.
Oh, 91 next week.
Wow.
And I've had time to chat with her and understand how women lived before, and to compare it with how we live now. Life was stressful. So I'll talk about that though. So common mental health challenges, or what we call disorders. Disorders sounds so strong, so we avoid those terminologies. But mental health challenges, number one, stress. Life is stressful. All of life is stressful because life is about management. Life requires management. Anything that requires management is stressful.
You're right.
Okay? So it doesn't matter what issues you're managing, because human nature desires three things. Number one, control.
Okay.
Control. So our happiness is rooted in control, in comfort, and in pleasure. Right?
Control, comfort.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
It explains
But
so much.
these get destabilized by
life.
So we never
You have no
we are never in control all the time.
Yes.
We are not in comfort zones all the time.
time.
And life is not about happiness. Now, speaking of which, I
have
know
to
as
write
women
notes.
we
I
have,
know.
Yeah, I know. I was You're
You have
writing
to write,
notes.
just at least points. At least.
you see?
Yeah.
So life gets destabilized. And our pleasure, our control, our
And our
comfort
comfort
gets
distorted.
destabilized. When it gets distorted, we get stressed. Now, can I also make it clear that stress is normal and stress is important to some extent?
Okay.
Right? Because it helps the brain to work faster, to generate quick solutions,
To innovate.
Yes. So we need stress, but we need healthy stress.
Gotcha.
Yeah, healthy levels of stress. But then so many things happen and happened before that affected our moms. I mean, like stress which is rooted in our biology, biological processes.
Oh.
Like menstrual period, whatever, all those processes, pregnancy, marriage. Marriage. Because, I mean, we talk about children, but then children, most of them, they come as a result of relation. I mean, all of them come as a result of whether it's marriage or a different relationship. And relationship management is so hard.
Yeah.
It is very, very hard.
Yes, it is.
You see? Now, mental health is actually relational health.
Mental health is
Is relational health. That's the health we get from human interaction, from relationships,
That makes sense.
right?
Yeah.
So there is the biological element, the changes we go through. Women, by our nature, we experience more. We have lots of hormones that are raging in our bodies at different stages. We'll talk about it. But then that is there. But then management of all these life's transitions, it's also difficult at different levels, and the challenges that come with every level, because it is management. So when we manage life and we are able to have good perspective, we look at things the right way, then we are able to keep emotionally okay, and our stress levels are
Managed.
managed.
Oh my
So it's as simple
Yeah.
as it is. So let me make it clear again. Life is stressful.
Yes. We should get used to the program.
We should know that
That's what it
stress
is.
happens. It's normal. It's a normal reaction towards external pressures. It's a normal body reaction towards life's pressures. And whether you're born, I don't know when, whether you're born now, there is stress. It's there. So we can't say, oh God, I wish I could be like my grandma. Well, they had
She
their own.
experienced her own.
Her own.
She didn't have social media.
And
But she still had her own.
But she still had her own.
yes.
You know, that's why I was telling you that I've had conversations with my mom. And my conclusion is that every generation has its own demons.
Level of
Yes.
stress. Yes.
You see? So we can't wish to have lived then. I don't think I wish to have lived then.
Yeah.
In order to experience less stress. There's certain things they enjoyed, but look, life continues.
Yeah.
And part of our wellness or mental wellness is in accepting that there are certain systems that can no longer service us. There is there is a world that we can no longer live in.
We can't go back.
We can't go back. We can't. You
And
know?
we shouldn't even desire to.
No.
Well,
But yet we
but
do.
even if you did, would you go
What
back?
choices
go
do you
back.
have?
Would be more stress, knowing
Yes.
what, for example, a phone does. Then you go back in the world of no phone.
Some people think that the phone is stressing them now.
Yeah, right.
But they have a choice to do
But
without
they have a
it.
choice,
Yeah,
yes.
actually.
Yeah, so you can't wish the phone wasn't there. That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen,
Yeah,
no.
so what you can do is management. Please mark the word management. So how we manage life determines our wellness, our mental wellness.
Right.
That's all.
Wow.
How we relate with ourselves, how we relate with others, how we relate with the supernatural. These three.
How we relate with ourselves,
Ourselves,
With
others,
others
and
and
the
the supernatural.
wow.
And that's a summary of relationships. That's
Yeah.
whom you actually
That's what
That's
it
what
interact
we're
is.
relating with.
Yeah.
Okay.
With each stage of life, our memories may go as far back as 4, 5. I remember when I was 6 and different things used to stress me. Being the only girl amongst brothers, because my sister is much younger than I am, I thought, my goodness, why don't I have a sister? And that was the most amount of stress I could contain at the age of 6. Why was I given a doll for Christmas? I hate dolls. Why wasn't I given a book to read? And that was the amount of stress I could take and tolerate. As you grow older, as an adolescent, I taught in international school. A teenager at the age of 16 says it's the worst stage of her life. And as teachers, we were cautious to know the triggers and to address it to the human resource. We had to be acutely aware of different stages. When she spoke like that so vehemently, it wasn't a casual remark. I had to address it, and then they gave me a background of her home life. When you're an adult, as you mentioned, really cleverly, marriage, children, work, all of these stresses, I would like to ask that what challenges are unique at each of these stages? Do you mind sharing, especially for women, menopause, and how do we prepare for them mentally and emotionally?
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's right. So at every stage, of course, we go through the life stages, the normal life stages,
Yes.
and you know, when you're still young, I have a daughter who keeps saying, "Mommy, can I go back to being your baby?" Because she says adult life is so difficult.
Yes, adulting.
Look, so you see, I'll take you back to the management aspect. When you're young, someone else is managing your life.
That's so true.
They're
You
carrying your stress.
They're carrying your things. Just look at this whole lifespan of a human being. There are stages where someone else has full
Is carrying the
control
burden.
and management over
Yes.
your life. All you need to do is eat,
Cry.
sleep, cry,
Yes.
dance, play. In fact,
Demand. And you get
when you don't play, they get concerned.
Yes.
You know that? But then as every year you celebrate, you're moving towards taking full responsibility of yourself and managing certain things. That's when age 3, like in my home, you have to start making your bed. You have to, now that's stressful.
Because you people age 3, can you even, aren't you the height
you
of the
share
bed?
bed?
You're the height of the bed.
Start. So you
That
have to
means
start.
the other side. You have
Yes.
to climb and kneel, and then that's so stressful.
You see that? So you start brushing your teeth. They can help you perfect it, but you've started taking responsibility.
Yes.
So it's that management and taking responsibility that brings stress, because we want someone else to manage our things. You know, just imagine someone pays your bills. They care about the teacher who teaches you. They call them. You don't deal with
School I
so
go
much.
to,
You see? Oh, you see that?
Yes.
You only need to remember.
I just need to wake up and be a child.
You see that?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, they stress me if I don't eat.
Yes.
They even cry.
this-
If I don't want this.
Yes. You know what
Yes.
Dr. Evas just said? One of my daughters called me this morning and she wants to change subjects. And she went and spoke to the teacher and the teacher refused. What was her next option?
Mommy.
Let me call my mom. Mommy, the teacher has refused. Remember what I told you? To drop and to change. And what was Mommy's reaction? We have a
Let me
meeting
call
on
the
Friday.
teacher.
I'm coming. I'll sit with you and the teacher and we'll handle it. It's okay. You go back to class. I'm sure when she hung up,
Her problem was
Problems
She
resolved.
continued, said,
Mommy's taken the burden.
So do you see that? So
Yeah.
someone else is managing lots of aspects of your life.
wow.
And I mean, if that was the issue, we'd all be stress-free.
Yes.
Someone else is absorbing that. But we have to manage. So when we start there, then by the time you start a family, it's one of the things that really scared me when I got into marriage, because till then my sister was managing some bits of my life.
yes.
And I got into marriage and I woke up, I'm like, wait a
Yes.
minute, I'm responsible for this family, this home.
Yes.
You
Me
see
too.
that?
You're
I
the one
felt
there
it.
asking, what do we cook today?
You're like,
Now you're not asking, you're responsible. They are asking you.
Yes,
What do
you're
we-
You have
responsible.
guests and they are all looking at this woman.
I felt that stress.
You felt
I
that?
did.
Because
I
it was
felt
sudden. There was no
You've
gradual
shared it.
preparation.
Yes.
Exactly.
The state of the home
You
depends
see that?
on you.
Exactly. So there's so much. I hope I haven't jumped, but I'm talking about the different stages as we begin to take on lots of responsibility. Then it's stressful. It's stressful. But having said that, I don't want to miss what you asked. A particular stage that is associated with so much stress is teenage. So preteen, teen, mainly teen, which is 13 and up to 19. That's a major junction in life. And women, together with boys, young girls together with young boys, they experience, that's when hormonal changes happen. And some of the hormones, this is a stage where much of it happens that like an amount that will never happen at any other stage. There's a surge at that stage. Now that confuses because there are body changes, there are so many things, but there are also cognitive changes. Yeah, cognitive processes, the way you think, the way you feel changes. For instance, if I could just pull out one, in terms of our thinking processes, at this stage, at teenage stage, that's when both boys and girls, but we are talking about women, they change from what we call concrete thinking to abstract thinking. This is what it means. So until this stage, you've been thinking what they tell you to think. You see, you've been taking instructions. You're young. You're a baby. But now at this stage, you no longer want to associate with the childhood identity, but you're also not yet an adult. So what happens is that there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure, and you're beginning to think where you're opening, your horizon is expanding. And so you're looking at it like, wow, no, this is not the little Evas now. Now I have a future. Now I know what I want. Now, so that's when, for instance, you hear young girls thinking about their career directions. They no longer want to associate with what the parents are telling them. They are now they're opening their brains to think about, they want to be like Bill Gates and I don't know who and all that.
And a famous YouTuber.
You see that? Yes. And so then there is so much conflict here because now they are no longer children taking instructions.
They're not that sweet little baby.
They are not those sweet little babies. They are now making major decisions. Like when our twins turned, I still remember this, when they turned 12, 13, they refused to dress the same way. Now,
At 12,
because they had been dressing the same.
they had been dressed.
Mommy would go and look for 2 sweet outfits and buy them.
And they looked amazing to me. So here they are saying, Mommy, no. Can we just put on different things?
And they both desired it at the same time.
And they desire different things. Now, at this point, they really want to have independence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And independence comes off as rebellion to parents.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because you're no longer just,
right.
yes, mommy,
Yes.
yes, daddy.
We
because
see it
now,
as, and yet it is independent.
and yet it's independent.
Oh my God, that's such a nice
Yeah,
way
so
to
it's
look at
perceived
it.
as rebellion. And that's a very hard season to manage for children because both of them don't know what their heads are telling them. Parents are scared because they are they use
Losing
it to control and give instructions.
Control, comfort, and pleasure.
And when you lose control, you're losing your comfort, and then your
comfort.
pleasure is also growing.
So now at this stage, both parents and
the teenagers
are stressed. And it's a very hard junction to navigate. Please remember that there are also biological processes that are happening here. That's where young girls have identity issues because now there's peer pressure. I'm not as beautiful as her, and I'm not as beautiful.
I want to
as
belong to the other group of girls.
They don't want me.
They don't.
Now they are managing relationships on their own. They are no longer going to mommy to say, oh, you know, mommy, Manuela didn't greet me. No, they now have to manage it themselves. So there's lots of things happening. Plus, who am I? Answering the question of who am I? What do I want to be? Now, that's why they detach from parents a little bit, and they want to be in their private space to figure out how their lives are supposed to be. But now the parent is running after them and saying, why are you locking yourself in the bedroom? Why are you putting earphones? I need to, why you're spoiled now. Now, so there is a lot of pressure at that point, and there's a lot of stress.
And conflict.
Please remember that also because of the biological processes, there is also an attraction to the opposite sex.
Yes.
And you have to,
until this time, they've been little innocent. Now, of course, we have children who are exposed so much by this time, some of them at a younger age. Unfortunately, the whole world is sexualized, and they're seeing so many things. But there's a level of innocence they have until this point. But when they turn teenagers, now they are attracted to the opposite sex. Now, managing that pressure. Managing that pressure. And this is where most of them get really stressed and depressed, and lots of anxiety, fear of rejection, so many things happening at this stage. So it's a very, very difficult stage. Then, of course, from there, then we get into
the home.
You've all been young.
So
then we get into full-blown relationships and dating and dating.
Marriage. The pressure that
dating.
comes with it,
I don't want to jump dating because I was looking at statistics from our center, and we have so much drama at dating stage. Relationships are very difficult, and values changing. And
do you think dating becomes easier when you know how to manage your relationship with yourself?
100%, because you see, you need to know the resource you're taking into the relationship. But now most people...
The resource. I like the way it's called, the resource.
I love that.
But unfortunately, most of us women, we get into relationships when we don't know who we are. You haven't discovered yourself, you're not so sure of your identity, you're still asking the question, and boom, you have another person in your relationship. And then you're saying, please tell me that I'm good, please tell me I'm
beautiful.
Until you enter the relationship telling yourself, I'm the table. When they said, what do you bring to the table? No, I'm the table.
I am table.
Yet you didn't go through the things about you that make you the table.
Yes.
And actually,
you're looking for validation.
100%. So you're looking for validation, but with an empty cup. So you don't know a little bit about yourself. Please remember that some of us women are carrying traumatic experiences. Some have been abused in childhood, and so many things happen. And so when you get to this stage, you're craving validation. Some of them have low self-esteem, zero confidence, and all that. And now they get into relationships, which with an attachment we call trauma attachment. You're disparate, disparate for validation. And so, but anyhow, even when we have the healthy ones, they get in. It's a stage to navigate. It's very stressful. It's very stressful, and now you've opened your emotions up for someone else to come in to meddle with. So that's
and they're
very
open
difficult.
wounds.
yes.
Open wounds,
Yeah.
you haven't yet healed.
100, and even when let's assume you have no open wounds.
Yes.
That stage alone can open some wounds.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because there's lots of, I mean, you're younger than me. You know what is happening in our world here with dating. People have no values. They have no value system. You don't know what you stand for. You just go after everything.
After the trend.
After the trend, and it's a very difficult stage, very stressful. It's
Yeah.
one of those, we have so much anxiety disorders presented at our center.
Because we have high expectations, will it lead to something, and therefore you're not relaxed? You're hoping, will the ring come next? You're not relaxed and just letting.
That's very true, but also I think the biggest problem is that we haven't had so much conversation to prepare children,
Yes.
young people
To
for
prepare
this.
ourselves for the stage that is
For that
coming.
stage coming. And I just remember one of the young people say, some of us parents, we say, boys, be careful about boys. And then they continue. Now when they get to dating stage, we are saying, where is the boy?
You're like, but I thought you said.
I have an auntie who would ask her daughter every evening, because the daughter would come straight from work and she's home. She says, "Man, there's even no one who can buy you a drink from office. You come home." Like, she was on a Friday, she'd be like, "It's Friday. You're here."
Was the auntie strict when the lady was a teenager?
She's not that much. She was very principled about time being home and everything. She was not very strict.
Yes.
But she was quite principled about
Yes.
it. We're too young to date. We're not dating.
Yeah.
Then after that, she's like,
Why aren't you dating?
"It's Friday evening and our girls have been taken out."
You see that? So that pressure.
Confusing.
Societal pressure, peer pressure, and all that. It's very stressful. Very stressful. And then we survive that, we get into marriage.
Survive.
That's another landscape.
Nakomye ku survive that.
It's actually survived that.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
You see, so we get into marriage. And marriage management is hard. Again, the only resource we take in is love.
Is it enough? No.
So we've been told we are in love, and so you can manage
That's it.
marriage because you are in love, right? So that the stress, and of course it's both men and women, but we're talking about women
Today.
now. You know what is happening now. It just reminds me of the question you asked Ari about now and then previous. Our mothers and grandmothers. They managed marriage better. Because their scope of work was so clear. They were responsible for certain things like childbearing, taking care of children, and all that. So they had,
Their JD was clear.
their JD was clear. But now it's
And so were their KPIs.
Yes, now that the line
The
is...
JD was clear.
it was clear. But now the wires have touched each other, and it's confusing. We no longer have those neat compartments. So, this belongs to who, this belongs to who. But I think women have suffered most because the changing times have affected us most, because in addition to the reproductive roles, the home care roles, we've added productive
Economic care. Yeah.
We've added economics, we've added leadership, we've added so many things. And is this avoidable? No. Can it get better? I don't think so. I think it can only get worse. That's why we can no longer desire to live in that world that no longer exists.
It's not possible.
So you see how you have to reposition yourself and do a few things to make sure that then you manage stress. We're still talking about mental health, right? Okay? So it gets a bit difficult because we are working. Now, we've had conversations, for instance, about how about if you're the one, if your family is dependent on your income, right? Your husband is not working and you're the one earning, and you have to earn, and you have to work, and you have to take care of the children, and you have to take care of relatives, and you have to
Of his
you have a
relatives
husband.
also.
All the relatives.
And then you have to carry the children.
All the relatives.
Then they're expecting you at church. Mothers Union. Thanks.
You see that? Yeah, so
Sunday
it's,
school.
it's a little bit more because we have that, our JD, our old JD hasn't changed. We've added. So we've added more responsibility. Remember?
Promoted. We've been promoted
Without
with no
increment
raise.
of pay.
But there's good news. So the good news is that we have to reposition ourselves and think differently from how our mothers thought.
Yeah.
You know, because now if I have to do this to take care of children, to travel, to do the job, to earn, to career growth and all that, that can only get worse. So because of that, it gets quite stressful. We get more stress. Those issues are unique to us in comparison to how our mothers and grandmothers lived. So, but look, are we going to sit here and lament
And mourn about
wish
it?
and mourn about how the world has changed? No, we need to change the way we look at it. We need to look at different things. We need to work out strategies for balancing life because we need to keep going and to keep healthy. So,
Now that you talk about management, and I think before the show started, you hinted a little bit on it, but didn't. Now that there's balancing, there's management, there's all. What role does discipline play in it? Do you think discipline has a big role to play? I think it was John Maxwell who said your talent will get you to a certain place, but only your discipline will keep you there. Yes.
well, so discipline again is broad. It also begins with mental discipline, your thought processes. So for instance, if you look at this and you go, honestly, no.
We're
And
finished.
then you keep complaining how the world has changed, how that is going to cause you stress. So if you have this discipline, like you talked about gratitude, it's a discipline. It's an important principle. So applying those principles that are helpful rather than those that are going to cause you more pain.
stress.
And I think we need to talk about these ladies because I think sometimes women take a lot of time complaining, you know, this doesn't work. How could honestly, instead of appreciating the situation we are in. Because in mental health, one of the principles is that anything you can't change, don't send energy to it.
Oh. Wow.
Right?
Yes.
Just
You've
imagine.
been taught anything you can't change, accept. But
Accept.
now we have learned,
Yes.
don't send energy there.
Don't invest energy into it because you're not changing it. It's like if I get to this wall and I'm hitting it, I'm like, get off.
I want
It's
to
not going
pass.
No. What is going to happen? My hands are going to swell. I probably will get, I don't know what other effects
And
I'm
you've
going to
wasted
get.
time.
You've wasted time. I mean, you just, it's a
Round in a
moonwalk.
circle. Oh my.
So it's important that we know that things we can't change, don't even invest your mental processes trying to it because you're not making any effect.
Yeah.
So discipline, it also comes in the way we plan. In the way we plan. So if I'm going to do this, I have to have the discipline to say no. I can't. Sorry, I'm not able to do this.
Yeah.
But
I'm not able to make it.
I'm not able to make it. Simple things like your ability to say no, right? But also ability to ask for help.
I'm not superwoman.
Yeah.
Because now, the world has put us in a place where it requires us to be a traditional woman and also a modern woman in the same skin. That's very complicated.
Yeah.
So now, are you going to live by the worldly expectations or you're going to see what is cut out for you and you're going to position yourself and say, I'm going to manage this. I have to develop this discipline. I have to wake up. I have to avoid certain conversations because that's all discipline. There's certain conversations probably I'll not get in because I realize by the end of it, I need a painkiller.
Something is disturbing me,
Right?
yeah.
So can I avoid that? Is that going to help me? No. So do you see how discipline is important?
Yes.
And unfortunately, discipline is at personal level. No one can be disciplined for you.
For you.
No.
right?
No one.
No one.
No
So
one.
amidst all this, there is a huge other advantage that we have is that we are created to be multitaskers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these responsibility. I don't know. I mean, have you ever stepped back and thought, how do I manage?
You yourself,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't get your head around it. You're like, how do I even manage all these things? But we manage. Now, there is a special gift that women have, is that the wiring of our brains helps us or facilitates multitasking. So we are able to multitask more. That's why you'll be on phone, you're making soup, but you're also
Doing homework with your child.
And you do that.
And now exercise bike.
Yeah.
You know, but then when unfortunately we don't know how to celebrate these gifts. Yeah. So we come back and say, oh, you guy, do you see me? I'm multitasking. Now you're directing your energy in a wrong place.
Change.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So we don't know. We need to step back and celebrate that and say, oh, wow, this is so good. So when we celebrate achievement, we are going to be well. But if you're angry about how many things you do, the question is, what do you want to drop?
What do you need to
What do you
Drop
need
some
to drop?
balls. Yes.
There are certain balls that you can drop, but are you sure some of these we can drop? Are you able to drop children? No. Are you
Oh, that's a crystal ball.
Yeah. So in managing stress, there are certain things we need to change. Those disciplines I've talked about, but I want to emphasize the issue of asking for help.
Yeah.
We don't know how to ask for help, ladies.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we don't know how to ask for help, and all of us. I mean, I'm aware that I'm on this platform, so I may not be as vulnerable as I want to be. But I think there are certain things we do, like when we had just gotten our children in school, our little twins. I just enjoyed taking them to school, having those stories in the morning, and then after school, I'm going to pick them and go with them. Now, what happens? In family management, we don't have job descriptions, we don't have this. Now, the thing you do most, you take it.
That's true.
You see,
Yes.
people keep asking me, what are the roles of men and women? Now, some of the roles, I want to tell you, the thing you do more,
That's
it's
your
going to be
role.
your role.
The other person will sit back.
Yeah, and remember, comfort.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you provide comfort to
I have to
someone,
write that capital, and I think on the bathroom mirror.
Yeah.
Comfort.
Yeah.
Pleasure control.
so what happens? So one of the things women do is that we take on too much. You take this, you pick the children. You pick that. You do this, you go to the market. But
And
you
you leave
never
the
step
other
back
person.
to say, can you help me with this? Or leave out certain things. And then you say, oh, are you picking the children? Or, are you doing this?
You
So
just
what
get
happens?
annoyed with them and
So,
start resenting them.
But no one pushed you to do that.
Absolutely.
Right? So most of the things, when women are complaining how they are burnt out, how the world is so unfair, it's because they haven't really delegated certain things. And, we come from a place of care, and we are likely to take on all these things without anyone asking us.
Yeah.
It
So
comes
do-
naturally.
It comes from a
Exactly.
good
Do you
place,
see? It comes
yes.
from a good place, but it weighs you down.
Down, yeah.
So we get stressed, we hate everyone, you want to strangle someone, but they've done nothing. You haven't asked them.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we talk about, especially on this show, is the importance of listening to yourself and being able to say, that won't work for me.
Yeah.
And not to stay cast in stone and say, this is the role, I am the one who picks kids and drops kids. And then when you can't, you start to feel like a failure. It's important for us to know not everything is cast in stone. Your husband can help you to pick up the kids. Your husband can help you to do so much. The other day I traveled and I came back. It was a Sunday morning. On Sunday morning, I love waking up on Sunday morning to cook for the home. And then we eat and then we can go to church. And I came in at about 6 a.m. and I was like, oh, wait, what's for breakfast? He's like, please, you've just traveled.
Rest.
Please, let me.
How did
And
that
so
make you feel, though, after
No,
knowing
I think
Sundays?
because for me, I've been in a place where I have learned to know that even my role is flexible. Yeah, that it's my role, to take care of the children, but it's flexible. When I'm not able to, Brian will help me to take care of the kids, and it is okay. However, it's not his role. Yeah,
But
it's
he can
mine,
step
but he can
in.
step in and help me.
Yes.
He can step in today, step in tomorrow because I'm not able to make it. So for me, and vice versa, there might be a role that he takes on, the thing that he does frequently, and when he can't, am I able to step in? That said, one of the things that we have as women in abundance is our hormones. What role do our hormones play in areas of panic, anxiety, depression, inadequacy, like at outbursts, anger, things that are very, like every time you hear mental health challenges, those are the words that are added.
Yes.
How do our hormones play to this? Because many times we feel castigated for feeling a certain way, and yet it could be a contribution from our hormones that we naturally have no control over.
Hormones. We are all packed with hormones.
Yes, we are.
Hormones play different roles,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Our behaviors are determined by hormones, right? But let me talk about stress-related hormones, right? We have stress-related hormones, and these are two. We have cortisol and adrenaline.
Yeah.
So these hormones are part of our body makeup. You know, we are structured together with that. Hormones are important. But then they are supposed to play a role, and they get back to normal. So what happens is that what we call stress hormones is that every time we have external pressure, the body responds by producing those stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones help the brain to function faster. Okay? So, and when it works faster, it helps you to make quick decisions.
Like
so
to
they
sense
are called,
danger? Like
exactly.
we're in danger
so
now.
You're in danger. They are called emergency hormones. Okay? So they trigger you, rather they are triggered by an external situation, right? For instance, if you are in a relationship and you sense my
message
partner
it has come in, a phone call at 2
Which
a.m.
you're not comfortable with.
and then he says, excuse me. You're like, there's network.
Why are you getting out of the bedroom? Why are you whispering?
Yeah.
yeah, so fear and all those. So so those hormones are important as far as that. But you know, we don't live a life of emergency.
No,
Not anymore.
Okay. Well, yeah. So for instance, I'll give you an example. I have, we have, my husband and I, we had 4 daughters before our son came.
Okay.
But when he came with so much energy. So much energy. Now, when he came with so much energy, every time I was in office and I saw a phone call from home,
He has jumped off a table.
Oh, no.
either he has broken his leg or cut off his finger or, you know, broken the leg or anything, you see?
Yeah.
So every time,
Yes,
my
it's
heart
true.
would, you see
It's
that?
true. I know that
That
call.
can cause you
the one from
so
your
much
school.
anxiety.
Okay.
The
one
school
from
admin.
Every time I get a phone call from the school, the first,
you're like,
hello,
what's
is this mommy? I'm like, is everything okay?
Yes.
Yes, mommy, we just called to.
Yes,
Yeah.
you see? So the body just responds because, you know, so fight and flight hormones. Very important because they help us to work faster in a state of emergency.
Yes.
But when that emergency settles, then you're supposed to go back to normal and they are flushed out of our bloodstream.
Okay.
However, when you're exposed to a situation that is not ending, it's causing perpetual stress. Yeah, for instance, you have, think about marriage. I'm a marriage therapist. So
Yeah.
I
No,
tend to
it's
go
true.
that direction.
Every day there's another emergency situation
Thank you.
comes.
Every
The
other
brain
a
is
girl who
being
passed by.
something
Then you
is-
got perfume in the car.
something
You are
is
like,
triggering the
"Nah."
brain every day.
So every other day you're exposed to a trigger.
yes.
Now, so that means you're going to keep in an emergency mode.
Yes. The chemicals are going to be released
right.
every
And
day.
it's not healthy.
No.
It's not healthy because then the more they continue. So you move on this whole stress spectrum because then there's healthy stress, which I talked about, normal, flashed out. You know, life is stressful, but it's not something that chronic. It's not chronic. But then if something doesn't move, the trigger is still there. You wake up Monday to Sunday, another week. So you're going to move from healthy stress to stage 2, which is reaction stage. And now reaction stage, you're beginning to get irritable, you're getting, you know, like all those, you're beginning to forget, you're getting angry, a number of things, you're losing sleep and all that. Now, if the trigger continues, you're going to cross from stage 2 to stage 3, which is injury. Wow. So a little irritability now is becoming a big problem. Right. You know, you're getting anger outbursts and all that, and then now you're procrastinating, now you're getting frustrated now. So it's getting worse. And when that is happening, there is a hormonal surge. There is the cortisol is just increasing in your bloodstream. Now this which shouldn't be, because then it's supposed to work in emergency, gets flushed out.
Now here it's constantly.
It just continues. And when it continues, from injury stage, imagine injury. So from injury stage, then you cross to illness.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Okay?
Yes.
Because now you've moved from the healthy stress to a little anxiety to now a little helplessness, but now you get into a stage called depression. So not every stressed person is depressed.
No.
Okay. So now stage 4, that's what is called illness. This is a dangerous stage. That's where people have gotten into hopelessness. It's no longer helplessness, it's now hopelessness. Because that hormone weighs you down and then you lose energy. Now there are physical manifestations, people are sick. You know, loss of energy, loss of zeal, loss of, you know, purpose, and that's where there is suicidal ideation, you know, because now you've gotten to this way of saying, life is hopeless.
Is there a connection to, are they called lifelong, those illnesses? I think I've read somewhere that more women these days are getting sick of autoimmune diseases that used to be for men, but even for older men, but they're picking them up in their 30s, they're picking them up in their 40s because of mental wellness.
Yes, because those excessive, let me make it clear, excessive stress hormones in our bodies is going to compromise immunity.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it compromises immunity, and that's why even some cancers are related to stress.
That's true.
Yeah, some cancers and for instance, you talk about that dementia. As reading about dementia, now we have dementia in younger people than it was before because there's a lot of cell depletion, excessive exposure to stress. To stressful situations.
I really love the way you articulate the different stages of stress and stress management. And clearly, I believe that if we understand the triggers of stress and cope well with them, we shall be devoid of so much.
Yeah.
We will definitely be living a better life, well balanced.
Sure.
I edited a book by Dr. Nachimuli. I'm sure you know her. She was looking at stress during the times of COVID. I learned a lot about stress, coping mechanisms, depression, suicide, ideation. And she said there are coping mechanisms that work. However, hers were general. Can you share about coping mechanisms that women can use during this time of stress?
To manage.
In this spectrum of mental health. Yes, how do we manage these mental health challenges well, cope with them well?
I like that you mentioned that coping mechanisms that work in those that don't work.
Yes.
Maybe let me begin with those that don't work.
Please. Please.
So, first of all, I'll tell you that, as I mentioned, human nature, we always, as much as possible, try to run away from pain. Now, when you're stressed, there's so much pain. There's so much pain. Because just imagine, as I told you, the spectrum, so you move from this, it's all the symptoms, now you're forgetting, now you're angry, now you're what. So it's very painful. So there is always a level of desperation because someone wants to run away from pain as much as possible. Can I stop pain? One of the ways is stress eating.
Ah.
Doctor, you might be speaking too
you're
loud
shouting.
now. You're going some dangerous places, doctor. Please.
I think because it gives instant some relief,
Yes.
there, that the chocolate, the sugar.
Yes.
And the bad thing is it's happening during. After, you feel bad now for two things. For the thing that stressed you and for stress eating. It's horrible.
That's the thing. So stress eating, because you're looking for a little pleasure. You remember?
Control, comfort,
pleasure,
control.
Comfort. So we always are desperate for pleasure. That's why people go drugs and all, because they're looking for something to just excite the body a little bit, you know. So stress eating is very common with women. And what do we say? Oh, life is short. I have to.
YOLO. You only live once.
My weight can't go off. No matter what I do,
Yes.
Genetic.
it's genetic. Kumbe.
Stress eating, and let me emphasize this: that every time we go, what we call negative coping mechanisms, which stress eating is one of them, is that you're training your brain to always remind you that every time you're unhappy, you've lost pleasure, that's the only thing that can give you happiness.
Doctor, I told you, you're on a slippery road.
Yes. So
It makes a lot of sense.
It makes
now.
so much sense.
So much sense.
right. So that's one of them. Then of course excessive shopping. Now it's called impulsive shopping.
No, but
How
doctor,
did
why are
you
you
know,
pointing at
How did you know? You felt stressful eating.
Doctor, the camera is in front there. Why? You're looking at me, you're pointing this side. Doctor,
I'm so
She's
sorry.
the one. I am for stressful eating. She's for excessive shopping.
Yes.
I don't know how you knew.
honestly,
So there, I mean, every gender has its demons, but women, we tend to go shopping. And we tend to go shopping.
It numbs something.
Yes, it numbs
does.
something, and that also doesn't help.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we also get desperate to tell everyone, because we manage women. We manage stress by talking, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it, but you have to be very careful who you're talking to.
Absolutely.
Because you can, actually, the person that you bring into your life at this stage to share your challenges, whether it's to do with marriage or wherever,
Work, children.
then you have to be very careful that they are not going to create secondary stress for you.
And how do they create secondary stress?
Also, they can, for instance, you tell someone, oh, I'm going through a marital issue now, then they go like, imagine, how?
Don't allow.
You know, so what I mean is that the advice you get from a person might not be helpful.
Yes.
It might even get you more stressed.
Yes.
Oh, imagine the way you've been the one holding the family. That's okay, it could be true, but is it solving the problem?
Okay, is it also necessary at that point to bring it in?
You see that? So that's why it's very important for us to check who carries your weight during such a stressful period. Yeah, because some may drop you down.
Yes.
I have so many words.
And I think for me, why I worry about that one is sometimes people are holding their own fears and they'll project their
those fears
into your situation. And from a good place, by the way. They are coming from a very good place.
Until you've come to them.
And then they're like, that's how they start. That's how it starts, you know,
That's
because they've probably been through something or they fear something.
Yeah.
But also sometimes people manipulate situations to their advantage.
Oh, that's
know.
the one I was saying. I have so many words.
Yes, that it's a tough time, but there's something I
use
want
it
to
against
benefit.
you.
Yes, how do I use it? It's very dangerous.
I've got that one of using against, where you share with someone what you're going through, and then when you fail between you and the
when you
relationship, then they're
fail.
like, but that's why your husband's having a hard time with you.
yes.
You're like, really?
Yes,
After
they
you share,
keep it as a
They keep
weapon.
it like,
Yeah.
okay,
Right.
I'll see you.
Yes.
All
That's why we have to be very, very careful
whom you share
with during such. I mean, not everyone, I hope you are aware that not everyone can carry your weight during certain stressful times.
But can they
Can they
carry?
carry?
And I think
And
that's why
some of them mean well.
Yeah.
Some of them mean well, but they don't know what to tell you, or they
Oh, they have their own weight.
have their own weight,
Yes.
or they're just going to use it as a public secret.
Yes.
And they can actually do nicely, like Christians do. They say, Wananga, we
Let's
need to pray
pray.
for
Guys, I have a prayer point. Bev is going through. And then they tell
and then
that,
yes.
now their hands are ready, but they are also listening to the whole story. And
So what exactly do we need to pray for again?
You mean last Thursday? Yes, last Thursday. Then they give the whole juicy. One of the best, I think, advice I got when I was getting married was the lady said, "Your best advice is going to come from the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want you to run to the Holy Spirit." She said, "Even me, I might not give you the best advice, despite the fact that I've already been married over 20 years ahead of you. But even I cannot." She said, "I want you to run to the Holy Spirit every time there's a challenge." Yes.
That's true. That's true. But you also know that God can work through people.
And then he will
can
send
appoint-
you.
Yes.
Then the Holy Spirit sends you and says,
Exactly.
"I want you to look up Dr. Evas."
Evas. But
Yes.
then also, I want to encourage people. I don't know whether this is the Holy Spirit, but I really want to encourage people to use professional help.
That's what I was actually going to
Yes,
say.
go to counsel.
I really am an
She
ambassador.
is an ardent.
Yeah.
Yes.
So why do you continue excessive shopping yet you're seeing a therapist? I'm kidding. I'm stressing you. I'm using
This
you.
is secondary. This is secondary stress. Yes, but I really am an advocate
Yes.
for
Yes, you are.
mental health
Yeah.
seeking professional
Professional
help.
support.
And many times when people come to me with their challenges, because I listen, before I used to carry, and then I'd get stressed, then I'd get depressed because of other post problems. I had even lost faith in human nature. However, now I know that when someone comes to me, I'll listen to the first 5-10 minutes, and then I say, "Now you know, I know someone who
can help
who is
you.
trained. I am not. I'll listen to you, but I'm not trained enough
To
to walk you through this journey. The best I can do is say sorry or be on your side. And we want people to be on our sides. But do you need someone to be on your side right now?"
Yeah.
So I always recommend people, please, let's go to somebody who can manage this situation better. They're trained to do it. Yes.
Of course, yeah, that's very, very important. I mean, we can say that more and more. It's very important that you talk to a professional therapist, because professional therapists are doctors for your emotional health.
Yes.
And so there is a way we deal with situations. If you come to me, I'm able to do, for instance, what we call psychoanalysis. I check on a few things. But if you talk to someone,
They can't do
they
that.
can't. They may not be. They can give you quick first aid, what we call emotional first aid, but they may not be able to handle your
to walk you
situation
through it.
effectively. But there are other negative coping mechanisms like alcoholism. This is becoming a very big issue amongst women.
Even women.
100%,
yes.
yes. So drinking. Women
Among
are
women?
drinking. Yes, women are drinking, and it becomes like an escape route from stress. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. Then of course we have some keep quiet. And our culture has taught us to just be quiet, be a nice woman. So we call it bottling up and suffocating. Now this is dangerous. You don't want to suffocate stressful hormones. You need to flush them out. You need to flush them out. Now we are gifted as women to we talk. Conversation is powerful.
Yes.
That's why you hear statements like a problem shared is halfway solved. Right? So I really want to encourage women. speak, but be careful who you speak to.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't just meet everyone and say, oh, yeah. Don't be gullible.
Musajja kyankola.
Yeah, so
Okay.
some of those sensitive, emotional situations really need a lot of wisdom. So you have to be very careful who you're speaking to. And I guess I've talked about both, but one of the positives, it begins with self-awareness.
Yeah.
Self-awareness, I really want to encourage women, take time and know yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Know yourself and just don't fear. Try to know who you are.
Face yourself.
Because some of the things that cause stress, it's personal infliction. It's personal infliction. We are dealing with things, but because we have some people in our lives, we are able to transfer this and project this. But there are certain things that are about us. You know, for instance, if you've grown up in a violent, stricken home and you're carrying trauma, and you've carried some of these, we call them cognitive distortions, like all men are bad, all, you know.
All men are dogs.
You see that? And so, but then the men are dogs, but you need one. You know, you're married
crying
to one.
for one. You were fasting
Yeah.
for one.
So it is,
Men are trash.
they are distortions. Now, some of those distortions are we connect with situations that are stored up in our subconscious mind. So anything you didn't resolve, then you're likely to see it.
To reemerge, yes.
Yeah, you see? Now, since you're women, whenever, maybe we should ask Barbara, whenever we are pregnant, we see so many pregnant women.
That's true.
Yes,
Have you ever realized that?
yes.
It's like the whole country
Yeah, all
has
of us
decided
are
to reproduce.
But you know, when you're not, you don't see. So there is a certain mental alertness that you attach to situations. Now, if you have unresolved issues in your subconscious mind, you're going to see so
That's
many.
what you're going to see. If you're going to say in your subconscious, men are trash, that's what you're going
That's
to see.
what you're going to see.
because
So
it's
even when you're
stored.
married
Because
to a
it's
wonderful man and they have weakness, we all have weaknesses, who is a perfect person, you're going to amplify their negative side more than the positive.
To
Because you're
ensure
hurt.
they are trash.
Yes, because that's what, you know, what we see is what we gaze at. So if your eyes are focused on that, that's what you're going to see.
Yep. Where you put
So,
your energy.
what you put your energy to is what is going to come to work. Now, it's very advisable that women, number one, know yourself, know your stress triggers, know the demons that you've carried. We all pick some demons along the way. And so how have you flushed them out? Are they stored up? Some people say, me, I can never forgive. Me, I can. But then we are carrying these traumas and we are connecting with people. What are we doing? Any little trigger, it just gets you. You see that? So it's very important that we take a trip into our lives without any fear. Face yourself and say, who am I? Do that mapping and check what things made you happy when you were young or made you sad when you... Do that along your path and see and face them and ask yourself a question. Have I resolved this or are they stored up? Remember, anything stored up. This is like our garage where we dump all these things and then there's so much dust and you open and I don't have the energy to clean. You store it again. Now that's exactly what happens. When we are unhealthy here, we are going to connect with unhealthy situations, right? And that's going to hurt us. So if we are going to solve some stress, we have to know that much of it is actually self-infliction. It's in our attitudes, in the way we perceptions, and all. Very important. And then also to know what triggers you. What triggers you? You know, whenever I'm doing therapy, I like, this week up to today, Wednesday, I've been talking to women apparently, on I think one man. But you know, you're able to see a lot of self-infliction because we haven't known our stress triggers. And so you get over the edge, you're really irritable, you are a monster at home.
What give us examples of stress triggers?
Or stress triggers, like I've told you, like exposure to violence, unresolved childhood adversity.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, unresolved childhood adversity.
For some people, it's even silent treatment because they were given silent treatment when they would misbehave when they were young. Now, when they get married and their partner gives them silent treatment, it's a trigger.
Yes.
Especially because it was unresolved when they were
Unresolved.
But then also,
When we know what our triggers are, do we avoid them or do we find a way to learn to navigate through
it is
them?
called resolution. So you have to resolve them. You have to face it. You have to analyze it. You have, for instance, I'll give you an example. Someone saying, I'm not good enough. They've carried this perception of self-perception. And they got this from, I don't know, everywhere we get it. The world is unkind. And everyone is going to tell you how you're not good enough. You don't look as beautiful. You don't have a bum like I don't know who. I mean, so many things.
The legs.
You see the legs, your legs are not good. Now, that one, the world can offer this to you, but you don't have to believe it. But now that you have believed it, it has shaped the way you take yourself. So there are certain things you're not going to do because you perceive yourself a certain way. And because you perceive yourself a certain way, it's going to be stressful. So you find now so if you, for instance, you feel insufficient, you know, I remember one time talking to a lady doctor, and she was feeling so insufficient. She said, I'm not good enough, like all manner of cognitive distortions, mental distortions. And then I asked her, where is that coming from? And she said, my husband. But then, so I tried to separate it and say, okay, let's see. Your husband, what has he said? Because he hasn't said it direct, but he insinuates, he says this, and that's what he means. Now, you have to check and say, this, it's because I feel like this that I'm likely to interpret every other one the way. So it's very important I can dwell on self-awareness. That's the starting point. Now, some of you who read the Bible, you know, like scripture in Psalms 139, verse 14. I know that where the psalmist said, for I know that I'm fearfully and wonderfully created, and I know that for sure. You know, I'm paraphrasing. What is he saying? He's saying, I'm comfortable with myself, you know. I know myself, I'm okay. I don't have to be like any other person. I'm just one of a kind, and I'm comfortable in my skin. That's very important. But then if we step back as women, how many of us can say, I know that for sure?
I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Until you open Instagram and see someone else and you're like,
Or you pass your mirror and you want to throw
But
a
remember,
stone
that
at
is
him.
glass skin you're saying. Be content, you are perfectly made.
or you pass your mirror and you're like,
You want to throw a stone
not
at
very
him.
much.
The problem is with the mirror, not you.
It was meant to make
so
us bigger.
that self-infliction, it tends to affect us women, and then we transfer our pain to other people. But it's a big thing. The second one, of course, is social awareness. We encourage women to know the people you relate with. Don't approach life in a naive way. And you say, oh, everyone is nice, oh, you know, and then we are emotional, and then you're broken today, and then you are emotional. We have to be very careful about understanding people and maybe speaking specifically to women who are married. Take time and know your partner. Your partner is not man. It is him. It is this person. It's Brian. It is John. It is who. That's the partner you have. So don't say all men. No, you're not married to men. Take time and know your partner. And when you know your partner, you're going to know his strength. You're going to know his weaknesses, and you're going to relate with him based on what you know. That's why the Bible tells us, we shall know the truth, and truth shall set us free. That's one way to manage stress. Even the friends we have, even the, you know, we recently ran a show on Reality Check on managing in-laws, and I was telling people that I approached marriage and in-laws as human beings. I don't put labels. I know that they are human beings before they are in-laws. And what does that even have to do? If they pull off a certain behavior, I have the grace to know, oh, you know,
They are human.
They are human. You see? So, but then you need to be in a good place. You need to know that the only constant in this whole thing is you. You see, these are things
Control,
you can't
that's the
change.
control.
Yeah, you can't change these, but you have 90% control over yourself and only 10% things you can't control. So it's very important to know that your ability to have social awareness, not to approach people in a blind or biased way, is going to help a great deal in managing stress. Work-life balance, what we talked about, I'm sure you have had conversations, but simple ways to manage, to make sure that you don't get weighed down, and things I talked about, like ability to say no, managing time, asking for help. Those are important for stress management, for coping. Otherwise, you're going to die. And then, of course, simple things like exercises. There's a happiness hormone that is hacked through exercises.
Yes.
Remember, it's either stress or happiness.
Endorphins. Are they the
Yeah,
endorphins?
So there is. First of all, there is a look good, feel good kind of thing. So that helps us also to manage stress. Look good. Look good. Don't get into self-abandonment. You know, women tend to abandon themselves
we do.
also. And we say, the world should know that I have 5 children. Like, no one cares. Take care of yourself.
Are you the
because,
first?
you know, and then we just dress the way we want. We abandon ourselves. But when we take time to look good, and before anyone compliments you or validates you, you have already validated
yourself.
You know, I tell women, please give yourself a hug, in case every other person forgets. Those who are supposed to hug you, not everyone. But just in case my husband forgets, I'll look myself in the mirror and go like, oh wow, you look good, Evas.
Oh, wow.
So by the time you come out of the house and people are saying, Evas, you look good.
You're like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
You will say thank you, but inside you, you're like,
you already know.
but I know. Even
Wow.
if they don't say it. One thing I think we need to appreciate is mental wellness or mental illness or mental health should be looked at like other illnesses.
It is.
The same way you have a wound or malaria or a fever
And you go to
and you
hospital.
rush to a doctor should be the same way you say, these days I feel like I'm in a dark hole. These days I'm not feeling myself. Can I talk to someone? We need to get over that stigma.
Yes.
That because I am going to see a psychologist or psychotherapist, something is really wrong with me. There's something, I'm not normal. We need to treat them like normal illnesses. The same way we treat, people will go even to treat STDs and fear to go and see a therapist.
You see that maybe parting shots. I don't know whether we're there yet, but it's very important. It's very important for us to know that mental health is 90% of our health. Physical is so small. That's why when you're not okay, when you're stressed, the body can't hold you. You can't function. You can't get out of bed. You lose appetite, you lose focus, you lose everything. You can't exercise. Now, I've heard some people say, oh, you're stressed, go exercise. But when you're stressed,
you can't pick yourself up.
You can't pick yourself up. So it's very important that we don't just take it as a luxury. It's very important that people reach out and talk to doctors who treat your emotional or mental health. Very important.
Excellent.
One of the things that even now we should be doing, when many times to prevent getting malaria, you sleep under a mosquito net. To prevent getting an STD, you wear a condom. So maybe we should start seeing these doctors like you even before there is a challenge, so that we never ever have to get into a place where we have an issue. Ladies and the gentlemen on the show, control, comfort, pleasure. Immediately there is an imbalance with these 3 things, you're going to get stressed. But life is a combination of various kinds of stresses. We should take stress as oxygen. But how do we manage these stress factors? Let us see people, let us talk to people, let us cope with our own stresses, and let us not be causes of stress in people's lives. Let us know in the comment section, what is the one thing you're taking home I know you're going to write, guys, I know you're going to write notes upon. Just tell us that one thing you're going home with on this show, okay? Let us know. We can't wait to talk to you next week when we come back again for another invigorating, big, huge discussion, deep conversation on womanhood, parenting, and motherhood. Until next time, see you.
Bye. God bless you.
Bump Lab was brought to you by
Dial *185# option 6 and you could be our lucky winner.
Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.